Good afternoon. This is Danny with Danny's Luxury Cruise Vacations, an independent affiliate of the Avoya Travel Network. And I have the honor to be on a Zoom presentation today with Ashley, contact of mine at Holland America Line. And we're going to just discuss a few questions today that I have for her about their wonderful product, which just for the audience to know, I've been cruising with Holland America Line since 1962, and I will say that their product is more than amazing. It is fabulous, and you haven't cruised till you have been with Holland America Line. Ashley, welcome, and thank you for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to talk about Holland America Line with such a big fan.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really am a huge fan. Um, the first question that I have for you today, Ashley, is you and I know that Holland America Line has a long and amazing history. Um, how long has Holland America Line been cruising? How long have they been in the cruising industry, sailing transatlantic and worldwide cruises in Caribbean? Share a little bit with us.
So we are one of the oldest operating cruise lines in the world. We have been sailing for over 147 years, which is quite a long time. The history of the company has gone through a lot of different iterations. It first started as an opportunity to help Dutch travelers get to the United States, and it went from cargo and passenger ships to just fully passenger ships over the years. But we have been sailing in some iteration of form for over 147 years. And one of the things about Holland America Line that I think is pretty special is that we really honor the past. We have our hallmark or our flagship, the Rotterdam, which is named after our home city of Rotterdam. And if you ever get the chance to go into Rotterdam, you'll see our old offices there from when they were started over 147 years ago. We really are tied to the Dutch culture because that is how we started. And you see a lot of that in our ships, in our design and our itineraries. And as I said, we like to honor that past. So even when our new ships come out, we'll be debuting the brand new Rotterdam, which will be the 7th iteration of that ship this year. She will have hallmarks back to the previous 7 Rotterdam. So we know the emotional tie that people have because our ships have been used, like I said, in a multitude of ways, not just for your pleasure cruising like we do now, but the ships were actually, the New Amsterdam was taken in World War II as a troop transport during World War II, and helped get people around the world. We also have been taking generations of Americans from Europe to the US to immigrate to this great country. And so a lot of people have ties to our brand that are just outside of a great cruise vacation. We started doing the cruises as you might know them today back in the 60s. And, every time Holland America Line has made a change, it's kind of innovated the industry. And we were one of the first cruise lines to introduce what we now know as the Lido deck. We introduced that kind of cruising look to the ship where before they looked a lot like those Titanic type looks with those dark interiors and fireplaces. And they really looked like the old world. They looked like the new world. They were fresh and modern. And so it's just this wonderful blend of new and old, but in a way that really honors the past, but is looking to integrate new and exciting things for our guests to come.
Fabulous. And before we started this video, I had mentioned that I took my first cruise with you folks in 1962 on the New Amsterdam, and my mother had emigrated with my grandmother in 1939. So, you talk about the love affair, if I may put it that way, that folks have with your company. It's absolutely amazing. We're gonna move on to the next question. Where does Holland America sail to? What are some of your hot spots and some of the destinations that the people can go with on Holland America?
Well, we actually sell to all 7 continents, which is awesome. So no matter where you want to go in the world, you can get there with Holland. We started, as you mentioned, with transatlantic sailings from Rotterdam to New York in our early days. And then once the planes came out and people were not cruising as much, we looked for something new. And it was that time we introduced Alaska as a destination. A lot of cruise lines were going down into the Caribbean, and we were looking for something new to introduce. And so because of that, Holland America Line has been going to Alaska longer than any other cruise line. And Alaska really is a huge part of what we do. We not only have great cruise vacations there, we also do amazing land journeys into the Yukon of Canada as well as Denali National Park. So if you want to go see Alaska, Holland America Line is definitely got you covered. Europe is also still a very big destination for us because it's still our homeland. And then we have great experiences in longer exotic trips. So whether that's South America or Africa, we have sailings into Antarctica. And then, of course, if you're looking for something close to home, we've got great Mexican Riviera and Caribbean programs in our fall and winter season. So it really just depends on what you want to experience and where you want to go, but we can definitely get you there with Holland.
Now, is it fair to say, Ashley, if somebody wants to go to Alaska and let's say they do the cruise tour where they do, let's say the tour portion first, then they cruise southbound, do they have the option when they get off the ship in Vancouver to then do something to the Canadian Rockies with you? Is that an option?
We don't have specifically anything to the Canadian Rockies, but we do have a lot of guests that package that with other companies who offer that, like Rocky Mountaineer Vacations. So it's not necessarily done in conjunction through Holland America Line, but it can definitely be done together with another supplier.
Now, when you say the Yukon, now, if somebody's doing Denali and all of that, can they still on the cruise incorporate the Yukon as part of that, or is that going to be something separate?
The Yukon is actually part of some of our Denali programs. So we have Denali land only with cruise, and then we have Yukon and Denali programs. And those will range from 2 to 5 nights, depending on how long you're going to spend in Denali National Park. And then what we do is if you do it before the trip, you'll actually start at Denali National Park. You'll take the White Pass Railroad into the Yukon, which is the same railroad they used in the 1800s when they discovered gold in the area. And you get to go out, you'll stay in Dawson, you'll get to travel around the Yukon, and then we'll fly you into Whittier to pick up your ship to do your sailing down to Vancouver. And then if you do the cruise first, that basically goes in reverse. So the Yukon would be in conjunction with Denali, or if you don't have enough time to do the Yukon, you could just do Denali with your cruise vacation.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I've been to Alaska twice, and I can't wait to go back. I've just never had the chance to do the land portion, but that's on my bucket list. A big question that I get from the consumer is the demographics for Holland America Line. If you could just touch on that for a moment, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. So our average age is 45 to 65 years old. That will vary based on our destination. So we do have a significant amount of product that is over 21 days. The longer the programs get, the older our clientele gets, just because those are the people that tend to be able to travel that long, right?
Yep.
But it does vary, as I mentioned. And so, like, for instance, in Alaska, we have a ton of multi-generation families. In peak season in Alaska and on holiday sailings, you could expect to have 500 kids on board, which I know a lot of people don't think about Holland America Line as a family cruise line, but we definitely do have families that travel with us. We have great resources on board with our Club Hal for families, and Club Hal will be packed full of those kids during the Alaska season. So it really does range based upon the destination and the time of year that you're traveling.
I know it's changed dramatically since I was a kid. Even a teenager on the Rotterdam, we had for the kids one room. It had air hockey in it and a jukebox. That was it. And today it's so much different. You have the different programs, the different rooms for the different ages. It's changed dramatically. And let's face it, from the 60s to now, the whole cruising industry has changed, and it's a lot different. More people can afford to cruise, and more families. And you hit it right on the nail on the head, where the longer cruises, the people that are retired have more time, but 45 to 65. And a lot of people don't understand that, but that's a huge market. And if you're in your mid 40s, early 50s, you have kids still at home.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. The last question I have for you before we finish up is, what can the traveler expect when cruising with Holland America Line as far as the onboard experience?
That's a great question. So as I mentioned, just got back off of New Amsterdam last week in Alaska, and I just had the most wonderful experience. And I think if you've never traveled with Holland America Line and you're not sure what the experience would be like, I would describe it as comfortable. I felt comfortable everywhere. It felt like I was in my own living room doing the things that I love to do at home. So the entertainment on board is hugely varied. We have a lot of really engaging educational talks on board, which we call our Exploration Central program. And those range on things like talks about wildlife from our naturalist to the history of Holland America Line. And those are held on sea days. They are incredibly informative. As the cruise and travel director, Valerie, told me, she's like, it's like NPR. So if you love to learn, if you like to stay up on current events, if you want to know what's going on in science or industry or nature, the Exploration Central talks are awesome for that. And then in the evenings, we have what we call Music Walk, which is just this great way to experience music. So we have three primary venues on most of our ships, and that would be Billboard Onboard, the BB King's Blues Club, and Lincoln Center Stage. And we've partnered with these names, and we've brought people from New York City or Memphis to come on board and play with us. And what we've done is we've set up basically 30-minute blocks that alternate between those venues. So you can go to Billboard on board, they'll play your requests on the piano with the dueling pianos. And then when that set's over, you can head over to Lincoln Center Stage and hear, the music of New York City. And then you can head over to BB King's for some blues and then maybe go back to Billboard on board. So it's set up that you can just kind of move around the ship to the different venues and just enjoy music all night long, which is awesome. So you just see people kind of wandering all through the night listening to just all this great music.
So there's music basically for everybody.
There's music for everybody, truly.
Nice.
And then we do have some great shows as well. So they're not your typical Broadway style shows. One of the ones that I really enjoyed last week was one that it was all framed around music. So the dancers themselves were kind of doing dances as if they were musical instruments. It was a very unique performance, very engaging. They also had an illusionist on board. So there was just some really great entertainment. And then you get into the food. The culinary on Holland America Line, I have to say, unbiasedly, is the best in cruising. I've been on many, many experiences. I've traveled to many places around the world, and every single dining venue on board is absolutely amazing. And it's because we have a culinary council of 10 chefs that create our menus and put together dishes, and it's a really culinary focused experience. We also have culinary activities on board with port to table shows where the chef of Pinnacle Grill will come out and teach you how to make crab legs or how to make salmon. You can do culinary experiences on shore as well in our shore excursions where we partnered with Food and Wine Magazine. So if you really love food, if you love music, if you love to learn, Holland America Line's a great fit. And the ship itself, like I said, is just very comfortable. The Exploration Central Lounge on the top, it feels like your living room. People are playing games, doing puzzles, just sitting and watching as we cruise through beautiful areas. There's all these intimate little venues where you can escape and read a book or have a drink. It's just such a wonderful, comfortable experience on board.
Perfect. And I can vouch from that. And just to wrap things up, Ashley, as you mentioned, you cruised last week with hopefully the pandemic fading away. Just share with us, if you may or willing to, what your thoughts are on the protocols and how you felt, how the passengers felt on board, and anything that you can share with us, please.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm from Florida. I will admit it's kind of the Wild West down here when it comes to COVID and how everything's going. And so I wasn't quite sure what to expect as I was traveling. Our cruise was actually the very first sailing where we required not only everyone to be vaccinated on board, but we also required a negative PCR antigen test that had to be completed within 72 hours of embarkation. And then we were also the first cruise that was going to require masks on board where social distancing was not available. And I have to say, everything was very easy. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Knowing that everybody on board was vaccinated gave me a lot of peace of mind. And then knowing that everybody had a negative test prior to getting on the ship was equally reassuring. What you saw on board is everybody was complying, wearing your masks in elevators, in the Lido restaurant, anywhere where you couldn't social distance. Out on deck, you were able to take those off and enjoy being out there. And then one of the things that was interesting is, as we both know, Danny, things are changing minute by minute, it seems like, with protocols and regulations in different destinations. And the second day of our cruise, we actually had a note in our stateroom that was letting us know that the Alaskan government had just put new mandates in place for the different ports of call we were visiting. And we were going to be required to wear masks indoors in certain cities. And so that changed as we were sailing, but they kept us up to date to the minute. So we all knew what we needed to do. And again, just very reassuring knowing that we're keeping on top of everything. We're putting the protocols in place to make sure that everybody's secure. The medical facilities on board have been expanded in the event that there is some kind of situation. And, you know, we've enhanced cleaning. You're going to see the crew cleaning all of the surfaces multiple times a day throughout the ship. So it really was just a reassuring experience. I think everybody felt more comfortable on the cruise than maybe they even did at home. So if you're thinking about going on a vacation, don't let this hold you back, because it is a great way to escape what we are going through every day, for sure.
And you and I both know, having not only cruised a lot, but the both of us being in the industry, we all know how diligent the staff is on the ship. I mean, I remember at 1 o'clock in the morning seeing staff members, crew members wiping down the handrails, vacuuming, you know, so we all know that. Anyway, Ashley, thank you so much for joining me here today. This means a lot to me. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I look forward to working with you, and just again, thank you for doing this. And I hope the viewers will enjoy this and feel comfortable booking Holland America Line. Thank you.
Thank you.